Anna, and I'm here with the Student Alliance for Immigrants and Refugees. For our Cincy Stories project, we are interviewing the mayor to learn more about his connection to immigration and experience as a second-generation immigrant. So I'd love to ask you, how have immigrants and how has immigration shaped your life?
Well, first off, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And these stories are so critically important, so thanks so much for lifting up immigrants in our community. It's been profoundly impactful on me. I'm the son of a refugee. My mom was born in Tibet, and she was forced to flee when the communists took over. So she actually grew up as a refugee in southern India. She made it to college in New Delhi, where she met my father, who's from Punjab, India. They got married and they immigrated in 1980, of all places, to Beaver Creek, Ohio. So my brother and I came along a few years later, but had it not been for my mom fleeing her home country, the generosity of the Indian government, and that chance of meeting my father and deciding to come to the United States, without all of those decisions lining up perfectly, not only would I not be mayor of Cincinnati, I would not be likely here in this country. So the generosity of the Indian government, the generosity of the US government made my career and life even possible.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
My name is Liam Barden, and I'm also here with the Student Alliance for Immigrants and Refugees. And I would just like to ask you, what has your experience been as a second-generation immigrant?
Thanks, and nice meeting you, Liam. I appreciate it. It's been incredibly positive, but there are also obviously some challenges. Beaver Creek, Ohio, particularly in the early 80s when I was growing up there. By the way, it's just about an hour north of Cincinnati. It's a suburb of Dayton, but it was relatively homogeneous. I did not grow up in a very diverse community. And so particularly as a mixed ethnicity person, half Tibetan and half Indian, in a largely white community, it was quite challenging, because while there was a small but thriving Indian community, given my mixed ethnicity, I didn't necessarily always feel completely comfortable there. There's no Tibetan community to speak of. I think there's like 3 Tibetans in the entire state. And then, most people in my hometown just kind of viewed me as Indian and just kind of ignored my Tibetan side. So that was, particularly during adolescence, when you're trying to figure out your own personal identity, when you're trying to figure out who you are and what you care about, it was a little bit disorienting. And particularly pursuing a career in public service and in politics was really quite challenging, because unless you can see it, you don't really believe it's possible. And prior to me running for office, there were very few Asian or Indian American politicians, particularly in the state of Ohio. There were some, importantly, notably, Lakshmi Samarko, our coroner, PJ Javeri, the vice mayor of Blue Ash. These folks really blazed a path for me. But when you have an ethnic name, when you don't look like your electorate, the obstacles or the barriers for entry to getting into politics is even harder. So whether it was student council in high school or student government at Ohio State or clerk of courts or Congress or mayor, every single race that I have run in for elected office, I've faced overt racism. And that's true, unfortunately, even today as mayor. But what I hope my story and my minor legacy will be once I leave office is trying to chart a path for future immigrants and children of immigrants to believe that if they are committed to public service, they too can run and win, and most importantly, govern.
Right, thank you.
So I just have an additional question, just sort of following up on, you were talking about how immigration sort of influenced kind of the entry into your career. Mm-hmm. How do you think it's affecting your career now?
Yeah, I think as I sit here and think about the future of Cincinnati, one of the challenges that we have as a city is that we are just not very diverse. We are 44% black, roughly 52% white, and the rest is a very small percentages of Hispanic community and Asian community. And unless our population reflects the world, we can't be a destination for future diverse talent to come here, but most importantly, to stay here. So when I think about the needs of Cincinnati, Procter & Gamble, GE Aviation, Children's Hospital, Kroger, Fifth Third, these are all big companies that are in a fight for talent. And in order to make sure that we have the workforce necessary for Cincinnati to compete in the next century, we have to make sure that we are a welcoming city, that we are a destination for immigrants to want to come, and that we are making it as easy as possible for those immigrants to come here, because we will need that workforce talent moving into the future.
It makes a lot of sense.
I just sort of one more question is what advice would you give to younger generations or kids that are not that are minorities and maybe feel that they're not as represented?
Yeah, I can completely understand that feeling. I empathize personally with that feeling of alienation, or that feeling that your goals or your dreams are not possible because you don't necessarily see people who look like you pursuing those same dreams. And what I would say, particularly to young people, is you represent the most diverse, most educated, most civically engaged generation this country has ever seen. And we, as current leaders in our community, aren't just waiting for you to take the mantle of leadership. We need you to lead right now. So if you are passionate about, whether it's politics or the environment or being an entrepreneur, my advice to you is to jump in, to lean into that risk, and to try. What I have found at the various levels of my career, whether that was as an attorney or now as mayor, is that most people don't actually know what they're talking about. So if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, or you feel like you're unqualified or inexperienced to do something, that's crap. This country was built by folks who leaned into that risk. This country will continue to be successful if we have people who have the courage of their convictions and who would rather jump into the arena and lead than wait for others to do that. So, my advice to young folks is to show up, is to ask good questions, and to bet on yourself, because we need you to take action right now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks guys.